Chapter 7. G in the Air. In his bedroom that was a living room, now the wall bed was up. Spade took Bridget O'Shaughnessy's hat and coat, made her comfortable in a padded rocking chair, and telephoned the Hotel Belvedere. Cairo had not returned from the theater. Spade left his telephone number with the request that Cairo call him as soon as he came in. Spade sat down in the armchair beside the table and without any preliminary, without an introductory remark of any sort, began to tell the girl about a thing that had happened some years before in the Northwest. He talked in a steady, matter-of-fact voice that was devoid of emphasis or pauses, though now and then he repeated a sentence slightly rearranged, as if it were important that each detail be related exactly as it had happened. At the beginning, Bridget O'Shaughnessy listened with only partial attentiveness, obviously more surprised by his telling the story than interested in it, her curiosity more engaged with his purpose in telling the story than with the story he told. But presently, as the story went on, it caught her more and more fully, and she became still and receptive. A man named Flickraft had left his real estate office in Tacoma to go to luncheon one day and had never returned. He did not keep an engagement to play golf after 4 that afternoon, though he had taken the initiative in making the engagement less than half an hour before he went out to luncheon. His wife and children never saw him again. His wife and he were supposed to be on the best of terms. He had 2 children, boys, one 5 and the other 3. He owned his house in a Tacoma suburb, a new Packard, and the rest of the appurtenances of successful American living. Flickraft had inherited $70,000 from his father and, with his success in real estate, was worth something in the neighborhood of $200,000 at the time he vanished. His affairs were in order, though there were enough loose ends to indicate that he had not been setting them in order preparatory to vanishing. A deal that would have brought him an attractive profit, for instance, was to have been concluded the day after the one on which he disappeared. There was nothing to suggest that he had more than $50 or $60 in his immediate possession at the time of his going. His habits for months past could be accounted for too thoroughly to justify any suspicion of secret vices, or even of another woman in his life, though either was barely possible. He went like that, Spade said, like a fist when you open your hand. When he had reached this point in his story, the telephone bell rang. "Hello," Spade said into the instrument. "Mr. Cairo? This is Spade. Can you come up to my place, Post Street, now?" "Yes, I think it is." He looked at the girl, pursed his lips, and then said rapidly, "Miss O'Shaughnessy is here and wants to see you." Bridget O'Shaughnessy frowned and stirred in her chair, but did not say anything. Spade put the telephone down and told her, "He'll be up in a few minutes." Well, that was in 1922. In 1927, I was with one of the big detective agencies in Seattle. Mrs. Flickraft came in and told us somebody had seen a man in Spokane who looked a lot like her husband. I went over there. It was Flickraft, all right. He had been living in Spokane for a couple of years as Charles, that was his first name, Pierce. He had an automobile business that was netting him $20,000 or $25,000 a year, a wife, a baby son, owned his home in a Spokane suburb, and usually got away to play golf after 4 in the afternoon during the season. Spade had not been told very definitely what to do when he found Flickraft. They talked in Spade's room at the Davenport. Flickraft had no feeling of guilt. He had left his first family well provided for, and what he had done seemed to him perfectly reasonable. The only thing that bothered him was a doubt that he could make that reasonableness clear to Spade. He had never told anybody his story before, and thus had not had to attempt to make its reasonableness explicit. He tried now. "I got it all right," Spade told Bridget O'Shaughnessy, but Mrs. Flickraft never did. She thought it was silly. Maybe it was. Anyway, it came out all right. She didn't want any scandal, and after the trick he had played on her, the way she looked at it, she didn't want him. So they were divorced on the quiet, and everything was swell all around. Here's what had happened to him. Going to lunch, he passed an office building that was being put up, just the skeleton. A beam or something fell 8 or 10 stories down and smacked the sidewalk alongside him. It brushed pretty close to him, but didn't touch him, though a piece of the sidewalk was chipped off and flew up and hit his cheek. It only took a piece of skin off, but he still had the scar when I saw him. He rubbed it with his finger, well, affectionately, when he told me about it. He was scared stiff, of course, he said, but he was more shocked than really frightened. He felt like somebody had taken the lid off life and let him look at the works. Flickcraft had been a good citizen and a good husband and father, not by any outer compulsion, but simply because he was a man who was most comfortable in step with his surroundings. He had been raised that way. The people he knew were like that. The life he knew was a clean, orderly, sane, responsible affair. Now a falling beam had shown him that life was fundamentally none of these things. He, the good citizen husband-father, could be wiped out between office and restaurant by the accident of a falling beam. He knew then that men died at haphazard like that, and lived only while blind chance spared them. It was not, primarily, the injustice of it that disturbed him. He accepted that after the first shock. What disturbed him was the discovery that insensibly ordering his affairs he had got out of step, and not into step, with life. He said he knew before he had gone 20 feet from the fallen beam that he would never know peace again until he had adjusted himself to this new glimpse of life. By the time he had eaten his luncheon, he had found his means of adjustment. Life could be ended for him at random by a falling beam. He would change his life at random by simply going away. He loved his family, he said, as much as he supposed was usual, but he knew he was leaving them adequately provided for, and his love for them was not of the sort that would make absence painful. He went to Seattle that afternoon, Spade said, and from there by boat to San Francisco. For a couple of years he wandered around and then drifted back to the Northwest and settled in Spokane and got married. His second wife didn't look like the first, but they were more alike than they were different. You know, the kind of women that play fair games of golf and bridge and like new salad recipes. He wasn't sorry for what he had done. It seemed reasonable enough to him. I don't think he even knew he had settled back naturally into the same groove he had jumped out of in Tacoma. But that's the part of it I always liked. He adjusted himself to beams falling, and then no more of them fell, and he adjusted himself to them not falling. How perfectly fascinating, Bridget O'Shaughnessy said. She left her chair and stood in front of him, close. Her eyes were wide and deep. I don't have to tell you how utterly at a disadvantage you'll have me, with him here, if you choose. Spade smiled slightly without separating his lips. No, you don't have to tell me, he agreed. And you know I'd never have placed myself in this position if I hadn't trusted you completely. Her thumb and forefinger twisted a black button on his blue coat. Spade said that again, with mock resignation. But you know it's so, she insisted. No, I don't know it. He patted the hand that was twisting the button. My asking for reasons why I should trust you brought us here. Don't let's confuse things. You don't have to trust me, anyhow, as long as you can persuade me to trust you. She studied his face. Her nostrils quivered. Spade laughed. He patted her hand again and said, Don't worry about that now. He'll be here in a moment. Get your business with him over, and then we'll see how we'll stand. And you'll let me go about it with him in my own way? Sure. She turned her hand under his so that her fingers pressed his. She said softly, You're a godsend. Spade said, Don't overdo it. She looked reproachfully at him, though smiling, and returned to the padded rocker. Joel Cairo was excited. His dark eyes seemed all irises, and his high-pitched, thin-voiced words were tumbling out before Spade had the door half open. That boy is out there watching the house, Mr. Spade, that boy you showed me, or to whom you showed me, in front of the theater. What am I to understand from that, Mr. Spade? I came here in good faith, with no thought of tricks or traps. You were asked in good faith. Spade frowned thoughtfully. But I ought to be guessed he might show up. He saw you come in. Naturally. I could have gone on, but that seemed useless, since you had already let him see us together. Bridget O'Shaughnessy came into the passageway behind Spade and asked anxiously, What boy? What is it? Cairo removed his black hat from his head, bowed stiffly, and said in a prim voice, If you do not know, ask Mr. Spade. I know nothing about it except through him. "A kid who's been trying to tail me around town all evening," Spade said carelessly over his shoulder, not turning to face the girl. "Come on in, Cairo. There's no use standing here talking for all the neighbors." Bridget O'Shaughnessy grasped Spade's arm above the elbow and demanded, "Did he follow you to my apartment?" "No. I shook him before that. Then I suppose he came back here to try to pick me up again." Cairo, holding his black hat to his belly with both hands, had come into the passageway. Spade shut the corridor door behind him, and they went into the living room. There Cairo bowed stiffly over his hat once more and said, "I am delighted to see you again, Miss O'Shaughnessy." "I was sure you would be, Joe," she replied, giving him her hand. He made a formal bow over her hand and released it quickly. She sat in the padded rocker she had occupied before. Cairo sat in the armchair by the table. Spade, when he had hung Cairo's hat and coat in the closet, sat on an end of the sofa in front of the windows and began to roll a cigarette. Bridget O'Shaughnessy said to Cairo, "Sam told me about your offer for the Falcon. How soon can you have the money ready?" Cairo's eyebrows twitched. He smiled. "It is ready." He continued to smile at the girl for a little while after he had spoken, and then looked at Spade. Spade was lighting his cigarette. His face was tranquil. "In cash?" the girl asked. "Oh, yes," Cairo replied. She frowned, put her tongue between her lips, withdrew it, and asked, "You are ready to give us $5,000 now if we give you the Falcon?" Cairo held up a wriggling hand. "Excuse me," he said. "I expressed myself badly. I did not mean to say that I have the money in my pockets, but that I am prepared to get it on a very few minutes' notice at any time during banking hours." "Oh." She looked at Spade. Spade blew cigarette smoke down the front of his vest and said, "That's probably right. He had only a few hundred in his pockets when I frisked him this afternoon." When her eyes opened round and wide, he grinned. The Levantine bent forward in his chair. He failed to keep eagerness from showing in his eyes and voice. "I can be quite prepared to give you the money at, say, 10:30 in the morning." "Eh?" Bridget O'Shaughnessy smiled at him and said, "But I haven't got the Falcon." Cairo's face was darkened by a flush of annoyance. He put an ugly hand on either arm of his chair, holding his small-boned body erect and stiff between them. His dark eyes were angry. He did not say anything. The girl made a mock placatory face at him. "I'll have it in a week at the most, though," she said. "Where is it?" Cairo used politeness of mien to express skepticism. "Where Floyd hid it." "Floyd? Thursby?" She nodded. "And you know where that is?" he asked. "I think I do." "Then why must we wait a week?" "Perhaps not a whole week." "Whom are you buying it for, Joe?" Cairo raised his eyebrows. "I told Mr. Spade." "For its owner." Surprise illuminated the girl's face. "So you went back to him?" "Naturally I did." She laughed softly in her throat and said, "I should have liked to have seen that." Cairo shrugged. That was the logical development. He rubbed the back of one hand with the palm of the other. His upper lids came down to shade his eyes. "Why, if I in turn may ask a question, are you willing to sell to me?" "I'm afraid," she said simply, "after what happened to Floyd. That's why I haven't it now. I'm afraid to touch it except to turn it over to somebody else right away." Spade, propped on an elbow on the sofa, looked at and listened to them impartially. In the comfortable slackness of his body, in the easy stillness of his features, there was no indication of either curiosity or impatience. Exactly what, Cairo asked in a low voice, happened to Floyd? The tip of Bridget O'Shaughnessy's right forefinger traced a swift G in the air. Cairo said, "I see," but there was something doubting in his smile. "Is he here?" "I don't know." She spoke impatiently. "What difference does it make?" The doubt in Cairo's smile deepened. "It might make a world of difference," he said, and rearranged his hands in his lap so that, intentionally or not, a blunt forefinger pointed at Spade. The girl glanced at the pointing finger and made an impatient motion with her head. "Or me," she said, "or you." "Exactly, and shall we add more certainly the boy outside?" "Yes," she agreed and laughed. "Yes, unless he's the one you had in Constantinople." Sudden blood mottled Cairo's face. In a shrill, enraged voice he cried, "The one you couldn't make?" Bridget O'Shaughnessy jumped up from her chair. Her lower lip was between her teeth. Her eyes were dark and wide in a tense white face. She took 2 quick steps towards Cairo. He started to rise. Her right hand went out and cracked sharply against his cheek, leaving the imprint of fingers there. Cairo grunted and slapped her cheek, staggering her sidewise, bringing from her mouth a brief, muffled scream. Spade, wooden of face, was up from the sofa and close to them by then. He caught Cairo by the throat and shook him. Cairo gurgled and put a hand inside his coat. Spade grasped the Levantine's wrist, wrenched it away from the coat, forced it straight out to the side, and twisted it until the clumsy flaccid fingers opened to let the black pistol fall down on the rug. Bridget O'Shaughnessy quickly picked up the pistol. Cairo, speaking with difficulty because of the fingers on his throat, said, "This is the second time you've put your hands on me." His eyes, though the throttling pressure on his throat made them bulge, were cold and menacing. "Yes," Spade growled. "And when you're slapped you'll take it and like it." He released Cairo's wrist and with a thick open hand struck the side of his face 3 times savagely. Cairo tried to spit in Spade's face, but the dryness of the Levantine's mouth made it only an angry gesture. Spade slapped the mouth, cutting the lower lip. The doorbell rang. Cairo's eyes jerked into focus on the passageway that led to the corridor door. His eyes had become unangry and wary. The girl had gasped and turned to face the passageway. Her face was frightened. Spade stared gloomily for a moment at the blood trickling from Cairo's lip and then stepped back, taking his hand from the Levantine's throat. "Who is it?" the girl whispered, coming close to Spade, and Cairo's eyes jerked back to ask the same question. Spade gave his answer irritably, "I don't know." The bell rang again, more insistently. "Well, keep quiet," Spade said, and went out of the room, shutting the door behind him. Spade turned on the light in the passageway and opened the door to the corridor. Lieutenant Dundee and Tom Paulhouse were there. "Hello, Sam," Tom said. "We thought maybe you would not have gone to bed yet." Dundee nodded, but said nothing. Spade said good-naturedly, "Hello. You guys pick swell hours to do your visiting in. What is it this time?" Dundee spoke then, quietly. "We want to talk to you, Spade." "Well," Spade stood in the doorway, blocking it. "Go ahead and talk." Tom Paulhouse advanced, saying, "We don't have to do it standing here, do we?" Spade stood in the doorway and said, "You can't come in." His tone was very slightly apologetic. Tom's thick-featured face, even in height with Spade's, took on an expression of friendly scorn, though there was a bright gleam in his small, shrewd eyes. "What the hell, Sam?" he protested and put a big hand playfully on Spade's chest. Spade leaned against the pushing hand, grinned wolfishly, and asked, "Going to strong-arm me, Tom?" Tom grumbled, for God's sake, and took his hand away. Dundee clicked his teeth together and said through them, "Let us in." Spade's lip twitched over his eye tooth. He said, "You're not coming in." "What do you want to do about it? Try to get in? Or do your talking here? Or go to hell?" Tom groaned. Dundee, still speaking through his teeth, said, "It'd pay you to play along with us a little, Spade. You've got away with this, and you've got away with that, but you can't keep it up forever." "Stop me when you can," Spade replied arrogantly. "That's what I'll do." Dundee put his hands behind him and thrust his hard face up towards the private detectives. "There's talk going around that you and Archer's wife were cheating on him." Spade laughed. "That sounds like something you thought up yourself. Then there's not anything to it?" "Not anything. The talk is," Dundee said, "that she tried to get a divorce out of him so she could put in with you, but he wouldn't give it to her." "Anything to that?" "No. There's even talk," Dundee went on stolidly, "that's why he was put on the spot." Spade seemed mildly amused. "Don't be a hog," he said. "You oughtn't try to pin more than one murder at a time on me. Your first idea that I knocked Thursby off because he'd killed Miles falls apart if you blame me for killing Miles too." "You haven't heard me say you killed anybody," Dundee replied. "You're the one that keeps bringing that up." "But suppose I did. You could have blipped them both. There's a way of figuring it." I could have butchered Miles to get his wife, and then Thursby so I could hang Miles's killing on him." That's a hell of a swell system, or will be when I can give somebody else the bump and hang Thirspies on them. How long am I supposed to keep that up? Are you going to put your hand on my shoulder for all the killings in San Francisco from now on? Tom said, cut the comedy, Sam. You know damned well we don't like this any more than you do, but we got our work to do. I hope you've got something to do besides pop in here early every morning with a lot of damned fool questions. And get damned lying answers, Dundee added deliberately. Take it easy, Spade cautioned him. Dundee looked him up and down and then looked him straight in the eyes. If you say there was nothing between you and Archer's wife, he said, you're a liar, and I'm telling you so. A startled look came into Tom's small eyes. Spade moistened his lips with the tip of his tongue and asked, is that the hot tip that brought you here at this ungodly time of night? That's one of them. And the others? Dundee pulled down the corners of his mouth. Let us in. He nodded significantly at the doorway in which Spade stood. Spade frowned and shook his head. Dundee's mouth corners lifted in a smile of grim satisfaction. There must have been something to it, he told Tom. Tom shifted his feet and, not looking at either man, mumbled, God knows. What's this? Spade asked. Charades. All right, Spade, we're going. Dundee buttoned his overcoat. We'll be in to see you now and then. Maybe you're right in bucking us. Think it over. Spade said, grinning. Glad to see you anytime, Lieutenant, and whenever I'm not busy I'll let you in. A voice in Spade's living room screamed, Help! Help! Police! Help! The voice, high and thin and shrill, was Joel Cairo's. Lieutenant Dundee stopped turning away from the door, confronted Spade again, and said decisively, I guess we're going in. The sounds of a brief struggle, of a blow, of a subdued cry, came to them. Spade's face twisted into a smile that held little joy. He said, I guess you are, and stood out of the way. When the police detectives had entered, he shut the corridor door and followed them back to the living room.